Welcome to BL Stories, where romance, drama, and unforgettable boys' love come to life. Love knows no limits, and the best stories aren't always straight. Subscribe now and join our growing BL-loving family. Leo was an ordinary young man who had spent most of his life in Italy. With his parents divorced and living in different countries, traveling had always been a big part of his routine. When his mother offered him a once-in-a-lifetime chance to move in with her and start fresh in America, Leo didn't hesitate. A new country, a new home, and a new family were waiting for him. What he never expected, though, was to fall in love with someone he was never supposed to fall for. Suddenly, his ordinary life became anything but. Chapter 1. I sometimes wonder, what could be harder than moving to a new country, a new town, into a new home with a family you've never met before? What if you had to leave the place you'd known your whole life? The streets where your loved ones lived just steps away, the comfort of knowing exactly where everyone was at every moment of the day. That was my life in Italy. Familiar. Ordinary. Now, everything is different. This past summer, I spent every waking moment with my family back home. I lived with my dad, until my mom offered me an opportunity to change everything. She asked me to come live with her in America. My parents divorced when I was 5. I never thought it hurt me too deeply, because I always had them both in my life. I traveled often, and Italians value family so much that I never really felt a gap. They just weren't together anymore. But my mom has always been different. She's Italian-American, born overseas, and she's lived in the States for as long as I can remember. She works at a major company, Google, and recently married a man she met there. They had a civil ceremony a few months ago. I think she asked me to live with her because she knew I was struggling. Ever since she remarried, I felt a little left behind. She was my anchor, the one person I always turned to, and when I couldn't see or talk to her as often, it put a strain on us. I love her deeply, and without her, I feel incomplete. Maybe that makes me a mama's boy, but I have good reasons for it. I still remember the day she called me. Her voice was filled with excitement when she asked if I'd move in. Her husband had his own house, a beautiful one, she said, and there was plenty of room for me. He was on board with the idea, so how could I refuse the chance to live in America? Still, I had my doubts. I didn't know him well, and the thought of sharing my mom with someone else was hard to accept. Maybe that's selfish, but it's the truth. I kept telling myself I might not like him, no matter how good he seemed. Honestly, I was terrified. I was almost 17, 2 years from adulthood, and most of my childhood was already behind me. I couldn't go back and live it again, this time Americanized. This was it. My life was changing whether I liked it or not. Leo, my mom snapped, pulling me out of my thoughts. Yes, Jenny? I teased, using her first name. Don't make me scold you. You can't stay quiet forever. She wasn't wrong. I could ignore her for a while, but never for long. My mom was the type who thought she was still 18, and sometimes she even managed to convince others of it. You're going to like them, she assured me. How can you be so sure? I've never even met them. Because I'm your mother and I know. I sighed. I'm only doing this because I miss you. I never asked for another family. Her expression softened. I promise this will be a good opportunity for all of us. She held out her fist. I bumped it with mine, and together we said, together forever. She playfully punched my shoulder, and I laughed through the sting. Why can't you just grow old like other moms? I groaned. Honey, she said, squeezing my arm with a grin. I'm 16 forever. I smirked. So does that make my new stepdad a teenager too? We're both 16, she said with a wink. Great, I replied with mock enthusiasm. She laughed. He has 2 kids, you know. You're going to have step-siblings. Yeah, I know. I rolled my eyes. As if I need more family members. The truth was, I wasn't thrilled. I'd always been an only child, and while I had plenty of cousins and friends, I liked things the way they were. This new family felt overwhelming. And America itself. It already felt strange. The houses didn't look welcoming the way they did back home. There were too many streets, too many buildings, too much technology everywhere I looked. In Italy, life was slower, warmer. Here, everything felt too big and a little lonely. I had always imagined American neighborhoods full of kids playing outside, families gathered on porches, the smell of barbecues in the air. Instead, the streets were quiet. Everyone seemed to be indoors. It was beautiful, sure, clean, wide, spacious, but also different. I told myself it would just take time. This was an adventure, a chance to grow. A reason to see the world for what it really was, new and unfamiliar. When we get there, please be nice. For me, Mom said gently. Physically, we were opposites. Her blonde hair, blue eyes, and pale skin contrasted with my brown hair, brown eyes, and olive complexion. I took after my dad, while she looked more American. It made me laugh sometimes. "I'll try," I whispered. "Let's go over a few things before we get there," she said. "First off, school. I already missed the first month. Do you know how terrible that is? Everyone will know each other, and I'll just be the new kid. Why can't all countries have the same summer break?" "You don't know that, sweetheart. This place is different." She rubbed my chin. "And I can't drive you to school. I work long hours." "Mom, you've told me that a dozen times since I agreed to move here. You're making me more nervous by repeating it." She gave me a teasing look. "I'm just saying, I won't be there to drop off my baby. You'll ride with your new brother." I froze. "Wait, how old is he?" 17. "Just like you." "What?" My heart nearly stopped. 17? What if he was different from what I hoped? What if he hated me before even knowing me? The truth was, I carried a secret I hadn't shared with anyone. I'm gay. And I had no idea how my new family would react if they found out. Would they reject me? Would I ruin my mom's happiness? So I stayed quiet. I kept that part of myself hidden. To everyone else, I was just a regular guy. No one needed to know what I carried inside. But deep down, I couldn't stop the fear. What if being myself meant losing the people I loved most? I might not be out, but I'm smart enough to know these are the thoughts many kids like me go through every day. It's tough. Too many closed-minded people, not enough support. Maybe America will be different. Maybe here I'll find the courage to be myself. Who knows? But for now, my priority isn't who I'm attracted to. It's keeping myself safe and protecting my mom's happiness. "We're almost there, baby," Mom said, her voice filled with excitement. I looked out the passenger window. The houses we passed were large, far bigger than anything I'd ever lived in. My chest tightened with curiosity. Would my new home be this big? I guess I was about to find out. We pulled up to a dark brown mahogany house with a neatly kept yard full of flowers. The pathway was lined with rose bushes in every shade, the stones a warm beige that reminded me of sand. It was beautiful. Clearly, someone had prepared for our arrival. For a moment, I felt impressed. This house was nothing like the small apartments or cozy homes I'd known in Italy. Mom popped the trunk, and I grabbed my luggage and a stack of boxes. Just as I set them down on the sidewalk, the front door opened. My stomach tightened. That had to be him, my new stepdad. "All right, Leo. Here we go." I turned to face him, bracing myself. He looked normal. 2 eyes, a neck, arms, legs, clothes. The basics checked out. He smiled warmly and came straight toward me. "It's so nice to finally meet you, Leonardo," he said, extending his hand. "Call me Leo," I replied, forcing a smile. "You're so handsome," he said with genuine pride before turning to my mom. They shared one of those long, unspoken looks, the kind couples have when they haven't seen each other in a while. I glanced away awkwardly, giving them a moment. When they kissed quickly, I coughed, drawing their attention back. Steve, that was his name, took some of my luggage and called out, "Derek." No response. He tried again, louder. "Derek." Still nothing. "He's probably playing video games," Steve sighed. "Great. A gamer. Why don't you two head inside? I'll handle these," he offered. "Come on, honey." Mom took my arm and led me through the garden. Inside, the house was even more impressive. shiny dark wood floors, a spacious living room, a massive couch, and even a fish tank. Beyond that, an open kitchen. Everything felt bright, polished, and much bigger than anything I'd ever called home. "Do you like it?" Mom asked eagerly. "It's big," I admitted. Before I could say more, a little girl with long black hair darted out from the kitchen and jumped into Mom's arms. "Jenny, I missed you," she squealed. "I missed you too, sweetheart," Mom said, hugging her tightly. The girl turned to me with a wide grin. "Hi, Leo." "Hi, Molly," I waved back, already guessing this must be my new little stepsister. She was sweet. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad. Behind me, Steve's voice boomed, startling me. "Derek, get down here this instant." I jumped and he chuckled. To him, I must have looked like some kind of prize. "What?" came the annoyed reply from upstairs. "Jenny's here." Steve called back. I sighed. Was yelling across the house their main form of communication? Then I heard footsteps on the stairs. My heart skipped a beat. And there he was. Derek. His messy brown hair stuck out in all directions, and his bright blue eyes caught mine immediately. He was in pajama pants even though it was late afternoon, but none of that mattered. My chest tightened. His face was flawless. For a moment, I couldn't look away. The silence stretched until Steve cleared his throat. "Leo, you'll be staying in Derek's room until yours is ready. It's being renovated and the new bathroom isn't finished yet. Derek's room is the biggest, so it makes sense." "What?" Derek's voice cracked in disbelief. "Why didn't you tell me? I could have cleaned my room." He glanced at me, expression unreadable. "I did tell you," Steve replied, raising a brow. "And since when do you clean your room?" "You wouldn't even if the Queen of England showed up." Molly giggled. Mom stifled a laugh. Derek groaned. "Yes," Steve said firmly. "Now please take Leo's things upstairs and show him around. I'll set the table." Mom followed him to the kitchen, leaving me alone with Derek. I bent to grab my suitcase, but Derek rushed forward. "Wait, I've got it. Just head upstairs, end of the hall, right turn." I nodded slowly, feeling my face warm. Just knowing he was behind me made me nervous in a way I couldn't explain. Every step I was hyper-aware of him. And okay, he smelled good. Really good. Not that I was trying to notice, but still. "Calm down, Leo," I whispered under my breath. "What?" Derek asked. "Nothing," I said quickly. At his door, he pushed past me, strong arms carrying my bags with ease. His muscles showed through his shirt, and I had to remind myself sternly, "Stop staring. Think about Mom. Stay focused." "You okay?" he asked, tilting his head. "Fine." I avoided his gaze. He opened the door. "Sorry about the mess. If I'd known you were coming today..." "Well, my dad told me, but I kind of forgot." He shoved a few clothes aside, but honestly, the room was fine. There was a huge TV on the wall, a paused video game still glowing. The room was massive. You could have fit half my old neighborhood inside it. "If you want the bathroom, it's clean," Derek said with a small smile that reached his eyes. "The maid comes often." "You have a maid?" Best surprised. He corrected. "Yeah. Dad's always busy, and there's no way I'm cleaning this house." He chuckled. He pointed to a second bed. "That's yours. I usually keep it for friends who stay over, but it looks like it's yours now." I nodded, too shy to answer properly. This wasn't like me at all. I was never shy. But around Derek, I felt different, self-conscious in a way I'd never been before. "You don't talk much, do you?" he asked. "I'm just adjusting. Everything's new." "You're from Italy, right?" "Yeah." "How do you speak English so well?" "My whole family speaks it." "Do you speak Italian?" "Yes." He smiled, stepping closer. "So, we actually haven't properly met." He held out his hand, and when I shook it, he added, "I'm Derek." "And you are?" "I'm Leonardo, but please call me Leo." "Nice name." He gathered the boxes and games from the spare bed and slid them into his huge closet. "I'll swap the sheets for fresh ones." He glanced around. "Do you play Xbox?" "Have once." "Well, we're about to play for the next 4 hours." I let out a polite laugh and tried to look interested. When Steve called him from downstairs, Derek excused himself. The second he left, I collapsed backward onto the mattress in a dramatic, silent faint. I had no idea how I'd kept my cool. He was definitely not a nerd. And if he was a very good-looking one. "Hey," Derek said when he came back, "dinner's ready. Your mom said to come down." I gave him a thumbs up, and he disappeared again. 5 minutes in this house and I already had a problem, my nerves. I checked myself in the mirror, smoothing my shirt and hair. Somehow, he'd cracked my usual confidence. Now I cared way too much about what he thought. Hopefully that wouldn't make me do something ridiculous. I followed the long hall, headed down the stairs, and found everyone waiting in the dining room. A real American dining room. Nothing especially different, but to me it felt new. "Welcome, Leo." Steve and Molly chimed together. I smiled and sat beside Mom. Derek took the chair across from me. I shot Mom a look that said, "You're in trouble." She answered with one that clearly meant, "Behave." "You two are strange," Derek observed. "No offense." "None taken, sweetie," Mom replied. I glanced at the table, steak, mashed potatoes, vegetables, and a few things I didn't recognize. So much for my cheeseburgers only stereotype. "So, tell us about yourself, Leo," Steve said, serving food. "We already know Jenny. Now you." "No offense," I joked gently, but that sounded like an interview intro. "It's okay to be nervous, you don't have to be. I won't break if you try the dad thing." Derek burst into laughter before catching his father's look and quieting. "Thank you, Leo," Steve chuckled. "That's an unconventional way to put it." "Well, there isn't much to tell. I've lived in Italy all my life." "I'm sorry you had to leave your friends and family," Steve said. "It's okay. I haven't really left them," I answered with a smile. My cheeks were starting to ache from all the smiling, mostly because of the person sitting across from me. Everyone's attention stayed on me, which I expected. First night. First questions. At least Mom had survived this part before me. Now it was my turn. If she was rooming with the man she loved, I was sharing space with someone who felt impossible to ignore. Steve wasn't bad looking. He was just my stepdad, married to my mom, so thinking about that too much felt awkward. I allowed myself to notice him. Even the way he ate was endearing, like he didn't care if he took small, distracted bites. I'd never felt like this about anyone. The feeling was sharp and new. It almost hurt. I finished dinner quickly and sat back, still feeling out of place. Molly and Mom got along beautifully, like they'd been waiting to meet. It made me happy to see Mom happy. Steve was funny and a little dorky in the best way, perfect for her. I hadn't gotten to know him yet. He stayed quiet most of the meal, then slipped away a few minutes ago. Mom ran through school details, my schedule, getting a student ID for lunch and the library, and a list of other essentials. Schools here were different. This would be interesting. "May I be excused?" I asked. Everyone paused and looked over. "So much looking tonight." "Sure," Mom said. "Get some rest. Your first day is tomorrow." "Good night, sir." "Good night, Molly." "Good night, Mom." I walked the long hallway and climbed the stairs, heart thudding a little faster. I needed to get over this sudden shyness or I'd be stuck. Maybe I should pretend to dislike him so he'd keep his distance, but that felt unkind, and it would ruin any chance at a real friendship. I knocked on the bedroom door. No answer. I stepped in anyway. Derek wasn't there, which made it easier to get ready without fumbling over my words. He'd already changed the sheets and tidied up a bit. At least I wasn't sharing a room with a disaster zone. I pulled on comfortable clothes, pushed my backpack under the bed, and slid beneath the covers. A noise drew me to the enormous window, an entire wall of glass. The backyard stretched beneath the moonlight. I leaned closer and spotted a figure on the roof, Derek, looking down at the pool, phone to his ear. It seemed like the perfect spot to breathe when the house got too loud. I smiled and returned to bed. The moonlight soothed me toward sleep. I vaguely remember a voice, probably his, but the words drifted away. I slept well, despite the long, overwhelming day. Moving to a new world is hard. Some people never give it a chance and fall apart before they begin. I would try, for Mom. Yesterday dragged and flew at the same time. The plane ride felt endless. Crossing the world tends to do that. The layovers helped. And now, somehow, I was here. Maybe I slept so well because I felt oddly safe, close to Derek. Or maybe because there were no cousins to jostle me awake. A gentle jab nudged my side. I opened my eyes. It was still dark, a faint glow spilling from the bathroom. Morning. I jumped slightly. I hadn't seen him in the shadows. Then the lights flicked on, and I shielded my face. Your mom told me to wake you, he said, giving my shoulder a shake when my eyes tried to close. We've got school. Right? I yawned. Here. He tossed something and I caught it, a new phone. It's from us, he said. My name was engraved on the back. Thank you, I managed. Breakfast here or at school? He asked. I'd rather not eat. Nervous? A little. Don't be. His hand landed lightly on my shoulder. I glanced down and he pulled it back. Get ready, we should leave soon. I nodded and he stepped out. I laid out my clothes neatly, lined up my essentials, body spray, hairspray, comb, toothbrush, toothpaste. In the bathroom, I brushed my teeth and tried to slow my thoughts. He kept slipping into my mind without warning. Every time he did, my stomach twisted with nerves. His eyes, his face, the easy way he moved, I couldn't shake any of it. Why did he have to be my stepbrother? What did I do to end up here, wanting something I could never say out loud? I shut down the argument with my subconscious and got dressed. Bigger things to worry about, like school. I've seen enough American movies about new kids walking into new hallways, bullies, cheer squads, lockers, shutters. And the groups, popular kids, cheerleaders, gamers, artists, band kids, and everyone in between. Do you get assigned a group? Do you choose? Please don't make me stand on a table and sing like Zac Efron. When I finished daydreaming and actually got ready, I headed downstairs with my backpack, my dad's watch on my wrist, and my wallet safely tucked away. Everything was ready. I was ready. Hey, you set? Derek asked. His hair, no longer messy, framed his face in a way that looked both effortless and intentional. Black striped long sleeves, dark jeans, boots, simple and unfairly good. He was making me even more gay than I already was. I'm ready, I lied. Alright, let's go, bro. He winked. Yeah, bro. I wished it were something more, but at least we weren't related by blood. Then again, did I just get brozoned? My mouth dropped when the garage door lifted to reveal a sleek gray Ferrari convertible, 2 seats of pure shine. How did you afford this? It was my mom's, he said softly. She gave it to me before she passed away. I'm sorry. I hadn't known. It must be hard to welcome someone new into the family after losing so much. I could see the echo of that pain in his eyes. It's okay, he assured me, gesturing to the seat. He hopped in without using the door. I opened mine carefully. You can use it when I'm not, he added. That's generous, but I don't have my license. Then I'll help you get it, he said, clicking his seatbelt. I followed. The engine started with a low roar, the dash lighting up, the radio easing on. He chuckled at my expression. What can I say? The car was incredible. What music do you like? He asked. Mostly rock, lots of different kinds. Nice. Favorites? I don't really pick favorites. If it sounds good, I like it. So artists you're into? He teased, that smile bright and overwhelming. I don't know. I hate choosing. Fair enough. He put the car in reverse and pulled out. Too shy to commit to band names. You'll tell me eventually. Was my shyness that obvious? I pulled out my new phone to give my nerves something to do. Only one number was saved, Mom's. I started adding friends from back home, and Dad, of course. Want my number? Derek asked. Sure. He rattled it off. I saved it under his name. If you get nervous in class, text me anytime, he said. That's pretty much what I do anyway. I smiled. Still quiet, I see. Sorry, I said, glancing down. Don't be. Just a tip, don't hide too much at school. Be yourself. You'll go further. I am myself, even if that version is quiet sometimes. Fair point. He laughed. If we're going to be stepbrothers, I want to know everything about you. Oh look, we're here, I said, grateful for the distraction. The school looked like it belonged in a movie, huge, with an American flag at the entrance and 2 more flags in gold and red, school colors, probably. 3 floors. Enormous. Everything was indoors, with real hallways and actual air conditioning. I felt like I'd time traveled. Derek turned into a lot with a large sign, senior parking only. You're a senior? I asked, confused. I'd assumed he was a sophomore like me. No. My girlfriend's dad is the principal. He lets me park here. Girlfriend. Great. Not that I planned to ask him out. I couldn't and wouldn't. He's my stepbrother. What would mom think? Also, he's straight and taken. So there's my answer. I'll never know. Hello. Derek waved a hand in front of my face. Oh, sorry. You space out a lot. I call it thinking without distractions. What were you thinking about? I opened my mouth, then shut it. Definitely not going to say you. He'd have to be very perceptive to read that into it. Hopefully he wasn't. We parked, and I stepped out just as a squeal ripped across the lot. For a second I thought we'd run over a squirrel, but no, a cheerleader ran straight to Derek, jumped into his arms, and kissed him. Vicky, easy, he laughed, nodding toward me. Oh, she said brightly. Is this your new stepbrother? Who else would be riding with me? He said. Nice to meet you. I'm Vicky, his girlfriend. She flashed a practiced smile. Hi, I'm Leo. Cute name, she said. He's from Italy, Derek added. Wow, it must be beautiful there. It is, I said. Anyway, she told him, taking his hand briefly, I have to go. Dad's making me practice harder so we win the championship. See you later. He gave her a quick kiss. She cartwheeled away, pom-poms flashing. She's a little intense, he said, amused. She's fine, I chuckled. He gave me a look, and I realized how that might have sounded. Amigo, she seems nice. Not crazy. I knew what you meant, he teased. He took my schedule and scanned it. I'll show you your locker and first period. After that, you'll need to find your own way. But we do have 2 classes together. Which ones? Art and biology. I took back the paper and flipped it over to find my locker combination. My first ever locker. I wanted to take a picture and send it to my friends, but I'd wait until the hallway wasn't packed. We cut across the grass to the sidewalk. A lot of people waved at Derek. He mostly ignored it and kept talking to me as we entered the building. It was bright and colorful inside, and cold. Next time, long sleeves. Rows of lockers, red and gold, lined the halls. Flyers covered the walls. It really was like the movies. For the first time since landing, I felt a flutter of happiness beneath the nerves. After a minute of walking and trying to memorize turns, we stopped at locker 890. Okay, this is yours. And guess what? What? Your first class is right there. He pointed over his shoulder. Convenient. Lucky me. Thanks. I should go, meeting my coach about the new football schedule. You play football? I said, trying not to smile at the irony. Yeah, he said, lighting up. Do you? No. His excitement dimmed a notch. Don't worry. I'll teach you. He winked and jogged down the hallway, somehow carrying the sunlight with him. I opened my locker with the combo on the back of my schedule. Down the long corridor, he joined a group of players. The sun from the high windows hit his hair, turning it a different shade. It looked lighter in the light, darker in the shadows. I'd never noticed a color do that. Are you checking him out? A voice said behind me. I startled. Whoa, didn't mean to scare you, the girl added quickly. What? No, I stammered, searching for an answer that wouldn't betray me. He's my brother. Really? She said, clearly surprised. I didn't know Derek had a brother. Stepbrother, I corrected myself. I just moved to America yesterday. Oh, she said, a little awed. Where are you from? Italy. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Did I just make a new friend? We were suddenly interrupted by Vicky. Hey, Liu, she sang, stretching the vowel. What are you doing talking to her? Hello, Vicky, Nicole said evenly. It's Vicky, she snapped, then turned to me. You're new, so you still have a chance to hang out with the real people. If you're so real, why does so much about you seem staged? Nicole replied with a calm smile. Ugh, I'm not wasting my time. Vicky flicked her hand in a dismissive wave. So, Leo, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, come hang out with us. And with your brother. I glanced toward Derek, then back to Nicole and smiled. I knew right from wrong. I'll stay here, thanks. She shot me a look sharp enough to cut glass. Fine. I'll give you a day with her so you can see what she's really like. Then you'll come find me. She flounced down the hall, slipping past the jocks and brushing off Derek when he tried to speak to her. She's not very kind, Nicole murmured. I kind of noticed. I'm Nicole, she said, offering her hand. I'm Leo. We shook. You were smart not to go with her. People think being around her makes you popular, but it usually just wears you down. I laughed. Odd way to say it, but fair. Nicole was striking, long brown hair, a sharp, confident gaze that still felt warm. One of the prettiest girls I'd ever seen. My friends back home would be tripping over themselves, and then asking why I wasn't. Hello? You okay? Why are you staring? She snapped her fingers, teasing. Oh, sorry, I was just thinking. All right, she chuckled. You don't have to be my friend, you know. My mom taught me the difference between right and wrong, and Vicky is definitely not my crowd. I'd rather have good friends than fake ones. I grinned, and we started walking. Vicky tries to keep people from talking to me because I'm too smart, and because we're sisters. Sisters? I hope Derek doesn't do that to me. Her dad is my stepdad, Nicole explained. Vicky never liked having another mom in the picture, so she's been cold to me and my mom. That's rough. It's okay. If people won't talk to me because she says so, that tells me what I need to know. So, you don't have many friends because you're smart? Consider me your new one. I'm smart too, on Thursdays. She laughed. Oh hey, we have English together, she said as we stopped outside our first period. It's fate. Derek's point of view. I watched Leo walk into class with Nicole. I'd seen the whole hallway thing and wanted to tell Vicky to back off. I didn't want her making my new brother's first day harder. I care about Vicky, but sometimes she can be a lot. Leo picked a good friend. Nicole's kind. That'll help him. I even smiled when he turned down Vicky's offer of instant popularity. She only asked because he's with me. My brother. It sounded strange, and stranger still to say, stepbrother. When Dad told me they were moving in, I freaked out. I didn't want a brother, especially one my age. I pictured all the ways it could go wrong. But the moment he walked through the door, it didn't feel wrong. He's the opposite of what I feared. Quiet, sure, but that makes sense when you're thousands of miles from home. I'm glad he's decent. I'll keep an eye out for him. This is America, there are bullies. Don't worry, Leo. I've got you. Leo's point of view. Nicole and I stood at the entrance to the cafeteria. If there were a sign above it, it would say, "Brave souls enter here." We went in together. She moved with easy confidence. I felt like I was walking through flames. Tables stretched in every direction, half full, half empty. 10 different food lines made it look like a mini food court. Pizza, salad bar, snacks, even a sandwich station. Like a mall inside a school. My friends back home would never believe it. What do you want to eat? Nicole asked. A few people stared. I tried not to notice. I'm not really hungry. Well, you should get something. You're Italian. I chuckled. I'll grab a drink then. I pointed at the fruit punch machine. Cold drinks calm my nerves. I'll get one too. She tugged me through the crowd toward the snack line. Oh, great, Nicole muttered as Vicky turned around ahead of us. Hey, Leo, Vicky said brightly. Hey, Vicky. It's Icky, Nicole said dryly. Be quiet, Nicole. Here for more cupcakes? Nicole asked sweetly. You're ridiculous, Vicky huffed, facing forward as the line moved. Wow, I told Nicole, and you two aren't even full sisters? You sound exactly like it. We grabbed our drinks and 2 big chocolate cookies, then found an empty table. We talked, mostly about Italy. She asked about my mom and why I'd moved. It wasn't intrusive, just curious. It felt nice to be seen without being put under a spotlight. She mentioned Vicky might be jealous, said even their dad sometimes seemed to favor Nicole. I try to be kind, Nicole said. Vicky and I are just different. I nodded. Different, I echoed. Anyway, she added in a lower voice, she's made some choices I'd never make. I swallowed. I didn't want details. I didn't know why it stung to think about Derek's past, but it did. How was I going to navigate this? I'd known him for a day and my heart was acting like it had known him for years. Was this love? Too soon. Too much. Breathe. Hey, how's your first day? A familiar voice said behind us as we headed to biology. It's fine, I shrugged. Same idea, different building. Derek slid between us with a grin. I hate biology, he groaned as we walked in. The room felt exactly like a movie lab scene. Black tables, burners, racks of glassware. Slightly intimidating. Me too, Nicole agreed. I brought my schedule to the teacher. She smiled. Welcome to biology, Mr. Russo. Take any available seat. I thanked her and joined Nicole at a table. Okay, class, Miss Lee announced. As I said last week, today you'll receive project packets. The assignment is due Monday. You have 1 week. Pick a partner. Nicole hooked my arm. You're mine. Now, Miss Lee continued, handing out packets. There are 20 topics listed on the first page. Choose one with your partner, then go to the corresponding page for instructions. I scanned the list. Too many options. You pick, I told Nicole. I'm good with any of them. Thank you, Leo, she sang, already flipping pages. Nicole took her time scanning the project options. Across the room, Derek flipped through his packet with a bored expression. His partner was Vicky. I hadn't even noticed she was in this class. With her usual loud voice, I thought I would have heard her by now, but she was unusually quiet. I wondered what was wrong. Derek caught me staring. I looked away so quickly I nearly gave myself whiplash. Story of my life. Nicole noticed and let out a giggle. What are you giggling about? I nudged her gently. Nothing, she said, still smiling. The rest of the hour dragged. I had imagined starting at a new school would be exciting, but apparently boredom is universal. Biology was interesting in theory, yet painfully dull in practice. At least I had Derek to steal glances at. And Nicole, she'd been nothing but kind since the moment we met. I was grateful. She wasn't like any other girl I'd known before. Maybe she could even change me, who knows? Nicole and I ended up late to be. We had stopped to watch a snail crawl across a stone, and it took longer than expected. Luckily, no one seemed to care. Skipping gym class wasn't exactly a crime here, or in Italy, for that matter. We headed to the football field and climbed the bleachers. The wind cut through the air, sharp and cold, and I shivered in my jacket. Below us, Derek walked across the field in his football uniform. He looked so effortlessly perfect, like he belonged there. My heart ached with how badly I wanted to hold on to that image. He noticed me watching and waved. I smiled and waved back, feeling a spark of warmth despite the cold. "Who you waving at, man?" another player asked him. Then he spotted me, dropping my hand and pretending to study Nicole's doodles in her notebook. "Oh, is that your stepbrother?" "That's right. Derek replied firmly. He's new here. Oh, my bad, the guy muttered. From the bleachers, I still felt the sting. They thought I couldn't hear, but words have a way of carrying, especially when they're heavy. The echo lingered in my chest, sharp and painful. Chapter 2. I went straight home after school. Derek never showed up to give me a ride, so I had to figure out the bus route myself. He was probably stuck at football practice or something. I would have waited, but I already had a pile of homework and I needed to do well in school. Otherwise, who knows, maybe I'd end up making YouTube videos instead of graduating. When I opened our bedroom door, I sighed. The room was messy again. I guess this was what it was like sharing space with another guy. I hoped I wasn't this bad, but maybe I just didn't notice my own habits. Either way, I started picking up Derek's clothes and tossing them into his hamper. Probably not my job, but if I was going to live here, I wanted the room to feel livable. I organized his video games next to the console, straightened his bed, made mine, and threw away the trash. Funny enough, it already felt a little like home. My mom always had me cleaning growing up, so I was used to it. After tidying up, I stretched out on my bed, cracked open my history book, and started on homework. Nothing drags more than studying another country's history. Honestly, I hated Italian history too. All history felt the same to me, but it was an easy class, just reading and answering questions. An hour later, I had 2.5 pages of answers done, with more to go. Hunger reminded me that skipping lunch had been a mistake. I'd remember next time. I finished after 2 hours, rushing through the last parts. The house was quiet. Mom and Steve were working, Derek was somewhere, and Molly was probably with her grandma. The silence felt heavy. Was it always going to be this lonely? Maybe I needed a job, just for company. Making friends seemed easier if you were busy. I sighed and grabbed my phone, which buzzed in my hand. It was Mom. Hello. I answered. Hey, sweetie. How's everything? I could hear her typing loudly in the background. It's fine. How was your first day? She sounded distracted, like she didn't have much time to listen. It was fine. I got homework right away, but I finished it. I made a friend. That's great, baby. Listen, I just wanted to check on you. If you get hungry, make something or order in. There's money on the counter. Love you. I love why, but she'd already hung up. Groaning, I tossed my phone onto the bed and wandered the room restlessly. I should explore the house more. So far, I'd only seen the basics: bathroom, living room, this bedroom. I walked the hallway, pausing at family photos. Derek as a little kid was adorable. Now he was handsome, and maybe I shouldn't think about that, but I couldn't help it. In the kitchen, I finally saw why Mom loved it so much. It was like her dream come true. Massive, bright, and big enough for an entire family gathering. I couldn't wait for my relatives from Italy to visit. They'd lose their minds over it. Then, at the glass doors to the backyard, my heart skipped. Pressing my face to the glass, I stared at the pool. It looked huge during the day. Had I really not noticed last night? It was stunning. Probably cost a fortune. You okay? Derek's voice came from behind me. I quickly wiped the fog my breath left on the glass and turned. I'm fine, I muttered. He stood there in his football uniform, his number 6 jersey smudged with dirt. I'm really sorry, Leo, he said, dropping his bag by the door. His voice was genuinely apologetic. What for? I leaned against the glass, trying to act casual. I forgot to give you a ride home. It's okay. I figured it out. I smiled. I should have texted you to wait for me. He rubbed the back of his head, then walked into the kitchen. He grabbed a water bottle, chugged it in one go, then tossed it into the recycling bin with a grin. How was your first day? He asked. It was fine. Silence stretched. He leaned against the counter, staring at the floor. Adjusting to me being here would take time, I knew. Still, at least he was trying. You must be hungry, right? No, I lied. Don't lie. Nicole mentioned to Vicky, and she told me you didn't eat. And he glanced around at the spotless kitchen. Clearly, nothing's been touched. I shrugged. Want pizza? He asked. My stomach answered before I did. Sure. Great. Let me shower first, then we'll go. He dashed past me, sprinting up the stairs. I slid the glass door open and stepped outside. The pool glittered under the fading sunlight. The tiled floor had seashell designs pressed into it. In the middle was a small island with a hammock, like something from a resort. The pool was nearly as big as our bedroom. At the far end, a cliff wall hid what looked like a tunnel, maybe leading to a jacuzzi. Above, the sky was split between day and night, the sun just dipping while the moon already glowed. I sank into one of the pool chairs, looking up. I loved moments like this, when the sun and moon shared the same sky. I covered my face from the sun and leaned back in the chair. This was relaxing. No wonder people loved to sunbathe. I could stay like this all day, minus the pink sun hats and sunscreen. I must have dozed off, because when I opened my eyes again, a shadow loomed over me. A drop of water landed on my arm. I brushed it off, assuming it was rain, then a sudden gush of water poured over my entire body. My jaw dropped as I blinked up at Derek. He leaned out of our bedroom window, holding an empty bucket. "Welcome home," he shouted, laughing, before disappearing inside. I stood up, shaking out my hair. I wasn't even angry, just shocked. As I reached the door, a towel smacked me in the face. I pulled it down slowly, glaring at him. "I'll get you back for that." He only shrugged. "You can try. Now let's go." "I'm soaked," I pointed out. He just shook his head, pulled me inside, and closed the door behind us. "Let's go," he repeated. I sighed, wrung out my shirt, wrapped the towel around my shoulders, and followed him. By the time we left the house, I had decided on my silent revenge plan. I'd get his car seat wet. Unfortunately, most of me was already dry, except for my shirt and a few damp spots on my pants. His car was parked in front of the garage. He vaulted over his door like he was in a movie. I opened mine normally and climbed in. The engine roared to life, and the wind rushed through as he drove. His hair, still damp, whipped around, and I realized that was why he hadn't cared about soaking me. He'd dry off on the ride. And so would I. We pulled up to a pizza place. I'd never tried American pizza before. Back home, pizza was homemade and sacred, nothing compared. The thought of it made me miss my family even more. I wondered how they'd react to all of this when they visited. "Stay here," Derek said as he got out. Through the tinted windows, I lost sight of him. I sat back, uncomfortably aware of the stares from people parking nearby. Being in a flashy car didn't help. I focused on my hands instead of their looks. I flipped through radio stations until I found a trance song. The rhythm calmed me. I closed my eyes, leaned back, and let the beat push my worries aside. A few minutes later, the driver's door opened. Derek placed a warm pizza box on my lap and 2 drinks in the holders before sitting down. "Sorry for the wait," he said. I ran into a friend inside. "It's fine." He started the car again, and we drove off. The streets felt overwhelming. The signs, the people, even the sky seemed different here. Everything reminded me I was out of place. But I couldn't complain. This was my first real day in America. Everyone feels a little lost at first. Besides, sitting next to Derek left no room for sadness. Except he was my stepbrother. If I admitted I liked him, Mom would probably panic. Not just because of him, but because it would mean telling her who I really was. Derek turned onto a hidden road lined with trees. The car climbed higher and higher until we reached a cliff. The city stretched below us, glowing with 1,000 lights. The stars above dimmed against the brightness, but the view was breathtaking. "This is where I used to come with my mom," Derek said quietly. I swallowed, sensing how much this place meant to him. He opened the pizza box and, without warning, held a slice to my mouth. "I can eat by myself, thanks," I said with a laugh. He grinned. For a moment, it almost felt like having a real brother. Except I already knew, keeping a crush on him would be harder than anything else. Derek stepped out of the car and stood at the edge, gazing at the city. His back looked strong, but there was something heavy in his silence. He must miss her. I missed my own family too. But at least I knew I'd see them again. His loss was permanent. Quietly, I stayed in the car, eating my slice of pizza while watching him. I didn't know him well enough to say anything comforting. So I let the silence speak for me, and hoped it was enough. Chapter 3. Wake up, brother. Derek shook my shoulder and I groaned, swatting him with my pillow. He stumbled back onto his bed. Small victory. Now please let me sleep, you extremely distracting human. I buried my face in the wonderfully soft pillows, trying to slip back into a dream that, unfortunately, also featured him. Then he tugged my covers off, leaving me defenseless. I'm awake. I threw my hands up. He grinned, victory, reclaimed. I'm not letting you miss school, he said, tossing the blanket back at me. Get dressed. So demanding. Annoyingly charming. I rolled out of bed, grabbed some clothes, and hurried into the bathroom. I'm shy about changing in front of people, especially when that person is my unfairly good-looking stepbrother. No audience needed, thanks. When I finished getting ready, the room was empty. I hopped into my shoes, slung on my backpack, and headed into the hallway. Seeing Derek when I wasn't half asleep made a difference. No blur, just the sharp reality of his easy smile and strong features. I inhaled, steadying myself as I walked past. His cologne was clean and warm, stirring my nerves. He had his sports bag in one hand and a backpack in the other. You should eat something, he said. No thanks. I slipped out the door, grateful for space. Spoke too soon. I'm serious, you should eat, he repeated, touching my arm lightly to guide me out of the doorway so he could lock up. A small shock of warmth ran through me. You'll grab breakfast at school, right? Why do you care so much about whether I eat? I asked, climbing into the car, the normal way, no dramatic door vaulting for me. Good question, he said, backing out of the driveway. Maybe it's the big brother switch flipping on. First time having one, even if we're not related by blood. At school, as soon as I stepped out, Vicky launched herself at Derek. I turned away. The more I watched them, the more I felt like a very green, very ridiculous version of myself. Keep mom in mind, I told myself. Don't mess with the good things she's found with Steve. I thought I heard Derek call my name, but my music was too loud. I turned it up anyway and kept walking. A favorite Paramore track pounded through my headphones and made me want to sprint across the lawn just to release the energy, fully clothed for the record. Inside, someone hugged me from behind, arms around my waist. I tensed, then relaxed at the voice. Guess who? Nicole sang. Nicole, I muttered, smiling. Fudge cookies, she said, laughing as she moved to my side. What's up? I'm hungry, I admitted, stowing my backpack and grabbing a notebook. Cafeteria. She pointed down the hall like a game show model. This way. I caught Derek glancing over. Yes, I'm hungry. So what? I followed Nicole through the quiet hallway and into the cafeteria. You have your ID, right? She asked. Yep. I flashed it. She took it, slid into the line, and showed me how to scan it at the machine. That's how you get your food, she said. No lunch, ladies? We're in the future, she deadpanned, handing my ID back. So, she went on as we moved forward, we should start that biology project. I hate last-minute stuff. Your place or the library? I'll have to ask my mom if I can invite someone over. Of course she can come, said a voice behind me. I startled and jostled Nicole's tray. Sorry, I blurted, steadying it. Derek raised a brow. What was that for? He asked, amused. For making me jump, I said, embarrassed. Nicole waved it off. You're fine. I was going to drop it anyway. Seriously, Derek added, she can come over. You don't need to clear it every time. That answers that, Nicole said, moving with the line. We grabbed food and left Derek to his own table. The more time I spent in an American school, the more I realized schools are schools, whether here or in Italy. Different walls, same routines. My least favorite class quickly became American history. I barely knew enough Italian history, and now I had to learn the whole background of a new country. Some days I wished the world would agree on one textbook, preferably a short one. By last period, Nicole and I were on the bleachers. P had turned chaotic. Thankfully, since I was new and still needed to pick up the uniform, I didn't have to run the mile test yet. On the field, Vicky's squad practiced. I'll admit it, they were good. If I were out and auditions were drama-free, I'd try cheer just for the stunts. Not because I'm gay, because flips are fun. Okay, maybe both. Ridiculous, Nicole murmured, glaring at her stepsister. She watched with narrowed eyes, plotting who knows what. We're similar in a lot of ways, except I don't dislike my stepbrother. Across the field, Derek ran plays with his team. I've never fully understood football. The ball has an odd shape, there are endless rules, and a lot of sprinting and colliding. It's a lot. Nicole leaned her head against my shoulder, bumping me. I hoped she wasn't flirting, it wouldn't be fair to her. People shouldn't assume everyone is straight, but I also hadn't told anyone otherwise. Derek glanced up toward the bleachers. I looked away quickly so he wouldn't think I was staring. I studied anything else. The bright steps, the clean rails, a random piece of gum under the seat. Fascinating gum. We should go before the bell, Nicole said, tugging my hand and pulling me to my feet. What? Why? If you're still in PE when it rings, escaping takes forever. We hurried down. I glanced back. Derek looked our way and almost got clipped by a pass, dodging at the last second. Can you not detach my arm? I joked as we slipped through the gates into the main gym, where everyone gathered to leave. She slowed to a normal walk, and for a moment, it looked like we were holding hands. Hey, Nicole. Didn't know you were dating the new guy, someone shouted. She dropped my hand like it was on fire. I'm not, she called back. I looked toward the doors as the cheer team filed in and Vicky tugged Derek along. He rolled his eyes at me, like, welcome to the rumor mill. Nicole elbowed through the crowd. Move, she snapped at a guy pestering someone, clearing a path to the exit. And just like that, another school day survived. Sometimes guys try too hard to impress a girl, and it just gets annoying. We waited behind the locked gym gates while two teachers chatted on the other side. I wish they wouldn't lock us in during class changes. It's not like we're planning a jailbreak. I might consider it if the gates were open. Want to go to your house right now? Nicole asked. Sure, I said. I didn't have plans beyond staring at the ceiling. Company sounded better, and we could probably finish our project fast. Want a ride? Or are you going with Derek? I'll take the ride. I don't want to wait for hours again. Okay. She bobbed her head to her music with a little chicken dance. I had questions about her playlist. I put in one earbud too, pure pop. The bell rang, the gates opened, and everyone poured out at once. Nicole was right. If you're not near the front, you get squeezed. We ran to the lot, and she pointed to her car. As we climbed in, she tightened her grip on the wheel. I'm really tempted to tell someone off. What? Why? I leaned back just in case that someone was me. Not you, she said, tapping my knee lightly. My sister. She drives me up the wall. She started the engine with more force than necessary. I can't with her sometimes. Why do you hate her? I asked as we pulled away. I know she can be a lot. 10 minutes later, we turned onto my street. I had a great speech planned, but it sounded better in my head. Nicole parked near the garage. I just don't like the way she treats people. You might end up disliking Derek too, once you really know him, but honestly, that's unlikely. He's too decent. I don't even know what he's doing with Vicky, she's not his type. You know his type? I raised an eyebrow. We've known each other since we were little, she said with a sympathetic smile. Let's just say he could do better. A lot better. Noted. We headed inside. Mom was in the kitchen, leaning over a tray of snacks, her hair in a ponytail, something I hadn't seen in ages. She looked up and smiled. Mom, aren't you supposed to be at work? I set my backpack by the wall. Derek called Steve. Apparently there's another pool get-together. I volunteered to make some Italian snacks, she said, lifting the tray. More trays waited on the counter. I'm heading back in a minute. I took one bite of something familiar and nearly melted with relief. She stashed several big bottles of soda by the door. So there was going to be a crowd. Great. I'd be upstairs. We're going up, I told her. Leonardo, she said in her mute tone, half curious, half warning. Mom, I echoed, we're working on a project. Please step away from the assumptions. Okay, Nicole said, laughing as she slipped past us and headed upstairs. Sorry, honey, Mom said, kissing my forehead. Just making sure you're being safe. Oh, I said, escaping before she could elaborate. In our room, Nicole already had her notebook open on my bed. Efficient. We dug into the assignment. I wished we could pick any topic, like pizza. Or certain stepbrothers. Focus, Leo. About an hour later, the music outside got loud, really loud. I sighed, went to the window, and peered down. The pool area was crowded. Vicky danced on a table. Derek talked with friends across the patio. This is not ideal study ambience, I muttered. Nicole joined me at the window, slid it open, and lobbed a basketball straight toward Vicky. It thanked softly against her forehead. She yelped and splashed into the shallow end. Gasps, then laughter. Keep it down. Nicole called, then closed the window. Too many eyes turned our way. I ducked, rolled onto the floor, and hid beside the bed like a startled cat. The bass kept rattling the glass. A dance anthem we both liked came on, and Nicole tugged my hand. We spun around the room for a minute to burn off the frustration. Laughing, not exactly graceful, definitely happier. The door swung open. Derek stood there, surprised. I jumped back, bumped into Nicole, and we both toppled onto the rug. Thanks a lot, Leo, Nicole groaned, swatting my shoulder as she stood. Am I interrupting? Derek asked, eyes flicking to the notes on the bed. Yes, you all are, I said, pointing at the papers. Could you ask them to lower the music? We're trying to finish this project. It's Friday, he said, stepping closer. We both instinctively stepped back. Have some fun. I'd rather not do it last minute, Nicole said, shimmying back toward the bed as the song faded. Nicole, can I have a minute with Leo? Derek asked. A minute? My heart tripped. Was this about me watching him at pee? I hadn't meant to stare. I had absolutely meant to stare. Nicole slipped out. Derek closed the door, then locked it. I froze. I started, but stopped when he took my hand and lightly set it at his shoulder. He rested his other hand at my upper arm, leaving polite space between us. A slow song floated up from outside. He wanted to dance? I have a question, he said as we swayed, his eyes steady on mine. Words failed me, so I nodded for him to go on. My brain didn't know what to do with any of this. Who casually waltzes with their stepbrother? But his touch was gentle, careful. He guided me in a small turn, and I tried not to trip over my own feet. A ridiculous smile crept onto my face. I want you to pick a new haircut for me, he said softly. That's not a question, I whispered, unable to look away. It is, he teased. A question would be, what kind of haircut should I get? Heat rose in my cheeks as he spun me again. This was embarrassing but nice. Why ask me? Shouldn't you get your girlfriend's opinion? I value yours more. We circled once, still holding hands. Vicky knows your style better, I said quickly, correcting myself. He noticed and smiled. I don't want to suggest something you won't like. Would it matter if I said you've already given me something I like? I swallowed. What did I give you, Derek? He held my gaze for a beat, the noise outside fading under the quiet between us. Hope, he said. Chapter 4. What do you mean I give you hope? I asked, looking up into his bright eyes. His hands rested at my sides as we moved in slow, careful steps. And, why are we dancing? There's nothing wrong with dancing, he said with a soft laugh. The way he looked at me made the rest of the world fade. And you'll understand soon. Don't leave me hanging like that, I warned, narrowing my eyes. I'm not, he said, winking. But you have to give me a little time. Time for what? I'm completely confused. Just trust me. I gently slipped my hands away and unlocked the door to let Nicole back in. Derek looked a little disappointed that we stopped. Did he like it? It had to be a brotherly moment. I sighed and flopped onto the bed. I could feel their eyes on me, but I buried my face in the pillow and tried to quiet my spinning thoughts. I heard Nicole and Derek whispering in the hall, too low to make out. Just because I can't hear you doesn't mean I don't know you're talking about me, I mumbled into the pillow. Actually, that made no sense. Never mind. Please stop whispering. No answer. When I rolled over, the room was empty. They must have stepped out to talk. Great. I dragged the pillow over my face. Soft, dark, peaceful. I could marry this pillow, as long as it's not related to me and definitely not a person. Music thumped outside by the pool. After a moment, the bed dipped and Nicole smiled down at me. I smiled back, until she tossed a stack of papers onto my chest. Project time, she said. If we finish tonight or tomorrow, we're free. Tonight? I arched a brow. That means a long haul. I'm willing, she declared. Are you? Oh, I'm in. We shook on it and dove into the work. Someone turned the music down a little, nice of them, but it still buzzed in the background. My mind kept drifting to that dance. Who does that with their stepbrother? It felt tender and confusing. We worked late into the night, and eventually we both dozed off on top of the notes. I dreamed something ridiculous about a unicorn predicting that I'd grow old with Derek, and then saying something about bacon which made no sense at all. When I finally woke up, the house was quiet and the lights said it was late. Saturday. Nicole was gone. I cleaned up, brushed my teeth, and headed downstairs. Derek was at the counter, eating cereal and watching TV. I paused in the doorway, suddenly shy. I know you're there, he said around a bite. I stepped out. Where's my mom? Shopping with my dad, he said, turning with his bowl. Did you two finish the project? Yeah. Lucky, he grinned, a little milk threatening to spill. That was not attractive, was it? I tried not to laugh. He somehow looked good even while eating cereal. Calm down, Leo. Are you hungry? He asked. Not really. I had too much soda last night. That's not food. Derek, I said gently, you don't have to worry about me all the time. Sorry, he said, and his face fell just enough to make me feel bad. It's okay, I added quickly. I made a simple sandwich, held it up, and took a bite. See? I'm feeding myself. He chuckled. How are you liking it so far? The bread could be fresher. I meant here, he laughed. In general. Oh, it's good. More than Italy? I hadn't really thought about it. I looked at him and knew the answer. Here, I said, unable to stop a smile. He looked away, smiling too. Why? Lots of reasons. Can I hear one? You give me hope, I said, cheerful, and maybe a little bold. Hey, he protested lightly. You're not allowed to use that. Why not? You said it to me, and you didn't even explain the surprise dance. He cleared his throat. Anyway, did you have a girlfriend in Italy that you left behind? No. He sounded almost surprised. And, I said, grinning as I walked past him. Something in his tone made my stomach flip, like he wanted me to say more. Someone's defensive, he teased. I'm not, I murmured. Are too. He stepped closer, that playful smirk returning. My breath caught. Was he going to start another dance right here? No, I blurted. How about I throw you in the pool? He countered. My eyes widened. You wouldn't. He absolutely would. I bolted, but he caught me easily and lifted me over his shoulder. Derek, I said through clenched teeth, trying not to laugh. Put down. I don't think so. I squirmed, but his grip was secure as he carried me outside toward the water. I squeezed my eyes shut and braced for the splash, already plotting the most epic, harmless revenge I could imagine. You know I'm just kidding, Derek laughed as he set me down. I'm not, I shot back, grabbing his arm and swinging him toward the pool. He splashed in with a surprised shout. Victory! Don't mess with Leo. I quickly skipped away before he could grab my leg and drag me in. I dashed behind the glass door and slid it shut, locking it just as Derek, dripping wet, approached. He pressed his forehead against the glass, fogging it with his breath. Open it, he demanded. I don't think so. He suddenly disappeared from view. I bolted for the front door, locking it just in case. Peering through the window, I tried to guess which side he'd come from. The bushes outside rustled, and I braced myself, only for a cat to appear. I frowned, but before I could relax, wet hands wrapped around me from behind. You forgot I've lived here my whole life, Derek whispered near my ear. His voice sent a shiver down my spine. I know all the ways in. My heart fluttered at his closeness. For a moment, I felt safe, warm, even happy, in his arms. But I quickly pulled away before it became too obvious how much I liked it. You okay? He asked. Other than being soaked? Totally, I muttered. Then go change. We're going out. He nudged me toward the stairs. Going out where? I whined. Stop asking questions. Just change into something decent. We're going to have fun. I sighed but obeyed, slipping upstairs. He wanted to hang out with me. Just me. The thought almost made me melt. I showered, brushed my teeth again, and carefully picked out my clothes. Maybe I was overdoing it, but I wanted to look good, at least presentable. By the time I stepped into the hall, Derek was sprawled upside down on the couch. You take forever, he said, flipping back to his feet. You're like a girl. I frowned, but he chuckled. Relax, I'm just messing with you. Ready? Oh, and your mom called. She said not to eat too much. She's making a big dinner for us tonight. She should make something Italian, I muttered. I think she said she would. When my family visits, you're going to die, I warned, thinking of the endless food and recipes they'd bring. I accidentally brushed his arm in the wrong place, pulled back awkwardly, and walked ahead. Smooth, Cleo. Real smooth. He grinned. But the food? Yeah, I said quickly. He opened the passenger door for me. That small gesture made me feel strangely special, but I pushed the thought away as I climbed in. This wasn't a date. It couldn't be. We drove off, and curiosity gnawed at me. So, where are we going? Ice skating, he said with a grin. I've never skated before. But makes it more fun to watch you fall. Glad my pain is your entertainment, I muttered. Gosh. Besides, he added, I like it when you talk. It's addictive. My heart skipped. Addictive. The word echoed in my head. A few minutes later, Derek pulled up in front of a massive building. Oh wow, I breathed as I stepped out. He pulled his jacket from the trunk and tossed it to me. Wear this. I slipped it on, the warmth still clinging to him. It felt like one of those cheesy romance movie moments, but I didn't dare say that out loud. Inside, the cold hit me instantly. My skin is sensitive to the cold, I muttered. Then keep the jacket on, Derek said, taking it back from my hands and putting it around my shoulders himself. Okay, I whispered. He paid for both of us without asking, then brought me a pair of skates. I ran my finger along the blade curiously. Don't just stare at them, he said with a grin. Put them on. I sat down, swapped my shoes for the skates, and wobbled to my feet. Derek locked away our things and gestured toward the ice. You ready? He asked. No, I admitted. Too bad. Let's go. He skated out smoothly, grinning back at me. I gulped, stepped forward, and placed one foot on the ice. It was slippery, terrifying, but also kind of thrilling. Smoke curled from my breath in the cold air, and then, as if on cue, my favorite song began to play over the speakers. Oh snap, I whispered, my nerves buzzing with excitement. I bit my lip and stepped cautiously onto the ice. Derek skated smoothly to the center, stopping right in front of me. For a split second, I considered trying to trip him, but that felt too mean. Instead, I clung to the rail, determined not to move just yet. Race you, Derek challenged. Unless you're scared. Oh no, you didn't, I shot back. Oh yes, I did. We locked eyes in a playful stare before I finally pushed off the wall. To his surprise, I glided across the rink and spun around to skate backward, circling him with a grin. What's wrong? Scared. I teased. His jaw hung open. I crossed my arms while skating backward, enjoying the moment. Did I say I'd never skated before? I lied. With a shrug, I turned away, leaving him stunned. The cold air brushed against my face as I sped up, feeling almost weightless. For a moment, I felt free, until Derek suddenly zipped up behind me, making me jump and veer straight into the wall. I'm going to get you for that. I shouted. No, you won't, he said with a smirk before skating off. I chased after him, But before I could catch up, someone yanked on my hood. I tumbled down with them. Blinking in shock, I looked up to see Nicole winking at me. "What was that for?" I gasped. "You're fine," she said with a grin. "Hi." She hugged me tightly before a worker blew a whistle at us for sitting on the ice. "Hi," I muttered, rubbing my sore side. "What are you doing here?" "Derek called and said I should join you." "Perfect," I said dryly. "Now you can watch me beat him at skating." "I already did," she teased. "Nice moves, by the way." I blushed and glanced across the rink. Derek was skating with effortless grace, the lights reflecting in his dark hair. He looked beautiful. I quickly turned away, worried I'd been staring too long. Nicole noticed. "I know you like him," she said softly, swinging her arms. "Like who?" I asked nervously. "Derek. Who else?" "What are you talking about?" I stammered. "The way you look at him," she whispered with a knowing smile. "You don't look at someone like that unless you're in love." I tried to laugh it off. "What? Please. That's ridiculous." But she only held out her pinky. "Don't worry. I can keep your secret." I hesitated. If I took her promise, it meant admitting something. Maybe not love, but definitely something. With a deep breath, I linked my pinky with hers. "Yes, I knew it," she whispered triumphantly. She stuck her tongue out at Derek as he passed by, and to my surprise, he stumbled and fell. Nicole laughed so hard it was contagious, and soon I was laughing too, though nervously. Hours passed as Nicole and I skated together, spinning, falling, laughing. When we finally traded our skates for shoes, I wobbled awkwardly on solid ground. "This feels so weird," I giggled, pacing in small circles. "Here," Derek said, handing me a warm cinnamon pretzel. I took a bite, savoring the sweetness. "What? Can't a guy eat a pretzel in peace?" "Sure," Derek replied with a teasing grin. He brushed a bit of cinnamon sugar from my chin with his thumb, leaving me flustered. Nicole smirked knowingly, and I glared at her, silently begging her to keep quiet. On the way home, I stayed unusually silent, nibbling my pretzel like a hamster. Something about the day left me uneasy, a strange knot in my stomach that had nothing to do with skating. "You okay?" Derek asked as we stepped inside. "I'll tell you when I know," I mumbled, collapsing on the couch. My head spun. "Hey," Derek said after Nicole disappeared into the kitchen. "Come here." "No," I groaned. "I think the hot and cold messed with me. I just need to rest." Without another word, Derek scooped me over his shoulder and carried me upstairs. I didn't even fight him, I felt too dizzy. He set me gently on my bed and sat at the edge. "So," he began. "What?" I muttered, clutching my pillow. "You know how we're stepbrothers now?" he said quietly. "Yes. And that means we share a bond." "Kind of," I replied cautiously. "And you can trust me with anything," he whispered. My eyes flew open. Panic rushed through me. "What did Nicole tell you?" He looked surprised. "Nothing. Was she supposed to?" Relief washed over me. Thank goodness. A pinky promise was sacred. Derek leaned closer, his voice gentle. "I just wanted to tell you, it's okay to be different." Chapter 5. I chewed on the end of my pencil and glared at the back of Derek's head. Lately he'd been sending mixed signals, warm one minute, distant the next, and it was driving me a little out of my mind. I tapped the pencil once, then, before I could stop myself, flicked it at him. It bonked the back of his head, and he shot me a startled look over his shoulder. I dropped my gaze to my notes, suddenly very interested in the margin doodles. Class was so quiet you could hear a paper sigh, yet somehow no one noticed the rogue pencil. Disappointed by the lack of drama, I lobbed an eraser next. He ignored that one, shoulders shaking just a little like he was trying not to laugh. When the bell rang, I slipped out early and found Nicole in the cafeteria. The air smelled like cafeteria mystery. I decided to skip lunch. Nicole kept giving me odd, sidelong looks until I finally whispered, "What? Why are you acting weird?" "I'm not acting weird," she said, "definitely acting weird." "Is it because, you know?" I hinted. "No," she said quickly. "Not at all." "Then what is it?" Do I have something on my face besides, my face? She poked my cheek. Now that you mention it, you do have a face. I frowned at her. She wasn't going to tell me. Across the room, Derek walked in with Vicky hanging on his arm. A quiet ache opened in my chest. It's hard to stop caring about someone who keeps being kind to you. He spotted me and waved. I managed a small wave back. I don't think he likes her, Nicole murmured, watching them too. Why do you say that? I live with her, she said dryly. I've sources. Why is it always a little bird? Why not a hawk? I asked, eyeing the homemade food in her lunchbox and deciding I needed to talk my mom into packing something similar. Hawks have better credibility. You have issues, she said through a mouthful. Tasty issues, but still issues. I'm tasty? I raised an eyebrow. She burst out laughing. I meant my food is tasty, but you're not exactly a hardship to look at. Who's tasty? Asked a voice behind me. Of course, Leo is, Nicole said, far too cheerfully. Isn't he? Derek studied me with exaggerated seriousness, eyes traveling from my shoes to my hair. Heat crept up my neck. I think he's very delightful, he said finally. Oh great, I muttered. Just put a cherry on top. Will do, he joked, patting my shoulder before heading out. Later, Nicole and I sat high on the bleachers while football practice wrapped up. We'd been a little rebellious in class all day. Nothing terrible, just too many clever comments and not enough actual work. It was the Monday before spring break, and no one seemed eager to learn anything. Down on the field, Derek finished a drill and glanced up at us. He motioned for me to come down. Go, Nicole said, giving me a nudge. I dropped my backpack and jogged down, crossing the track to the grass. Derek pressed a football into my hands and adjusted my grip. Like this, he said, stepping back. Ready? Throw. I aimed and launched it with all my might. It sailed too high, but he ran back and caught it easily. Not bad, he called. Flex. I'm amazing. Catch this, Mr. Amazing. He tossed it back. Gentle, definitely gentle, but my brain chose that moment to think about everything except catching. The ball thumped my forehead and I stumbled backward, tripping over my own feet. Are you okay? Derek rushed over and helped me up. I'm fine, I said, rubbing my head. Apparently my face and footballs are very compatible. He laughed. Let's head out. I'll teach you more another day, when you're less distracted. Sure, I grumbled, still nursing my pride. Nicole offered to drive us since Vicky had borrowed Derek's car. In the back seat, I leaned my head against the window. Can we change the station? I asked, wincing at the current song. Nicole flipped until I said, Stop. That one. Dirty Dancer? Derek asked, amused. Yeah, I said, eyes closed. Enrique is... I caught myself and swallowed. High energy. High energy, Derek repeated, trying not to laugh. Pretty sure the ball hit him harder than we thought, Nicole stage whispered. Sorry, Leo, Derek said gently. The way he said my name made my stomach flutter. Say it again, I mumbled. I'm sorry. No, the other part. Leo. That's the one, I sighed. Nicole snorted. Should I swing by a therapist? Or a veterinarian? He's not an animal, Derek said, a little too quickly. But he is as cute as one, isn't he? Derek. Nicole teased. Derek didn't answer, but the corner of his mouth lifted. I looked out the window, pretending to watch the clouds, and tried not to hope for more than I should. Why was Nicole provoking him? I pictured an argument snowballing into chaos in the car, and me stuck in the middle like the last slice of pizza at a party. Clearly, my imagination needed a reset. I love this song, I blurted when the radio changed. 3 Days Grace always gets me hyped. Leo, Derek said gently, this is a pop station. I shimmied in the backseat anyway. Better to dance than overthink. Nicole shot Derek a look in the rearview. You really clocked him with that football, she said, half teasing, half sympathetic. I bounced to the beat until the car turned onto our street. What on earth? Derek muttered as we pulled up. Music thumped from the backyard. Teenagers milled around with red cups, laughing. Your dad and my mom throwing a party? I asked, climbing out. Inside, the house was somehow spotless despite the crowd. I'm not a party person, too many people, too much noise, so I hovered near the stairs. Vicky! Derek called, pushing past me. I spotted her in the kitchen. She bolted for the yard in impossible heels. Derek followed. I could already predict it. Heated words, then something cute, then forgiveness. I didn't want to watch that. Nicole flicked my ear. Upstairs, she ordered, steering me toward the steps where the music faded. What's going on? Looks like Vicky used the spare key from Derek's keychain and threw this without permission, Nicole said as we slipped into my room. He is going to blow a gasket. That's not great. It's more than not great. This might be the last straw. She popped open the window, and we crouched to peek out. This feels wrong, I whispered, though I kept looking. Derek and Vicky were arguing near the pool. He did most of the talking. She stared past him. Sure, Nicole said. They're such a perfect couple, I muttered, instantly regretting it. Seriously, how hard did that ball hit you? She whispered back. Derek suddenly glanced up toward our window. My stomach dropped. Before I could duck, Vicky's sharp cry cut through the noise. The sound snapped me back to reality. He'd broken up with her. I sank to the floor beside Nicole. My head still throbbed a little, and my thoughts were a jumble, but one thing was clear. It was over. Vicky stalked off, furious and beautiful and a little frightening. Well, that ruins my spring break plan, Nicole said. I wanted to talk sense into her. What did the air ever do to you? I nudged her as she jabbed at nothing. You're acting odd, she said, grinning. Hope you recover from your little football to the face. The door swung open. We both yelped, pure reflex, then laughed in embarrassment. Nicole stood. I'll give you 2 a minute, she said, slipping out. Suddenly the room felt too quiet. Butterflies were doing laps in my stomach. Derek crossed to me and sat on the rug. Sorry about the scene with Vicky, he said. I don't think ending it over a party is the best reason, I offered. Maybe talk it out? You're being very understanding, he said. Pretty sure that ball hit you harder than we thought. Please stop bringing up the ball, I groaned, rubbing my forehead. He smiled. I'm not going to hit you, if that's what you're worried about. I would never touch you like that. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Good. You're a little clueless sometimes, you know that? He said, still smiling. What? He shifted closer on his knees. My heartbeat stumbled. Puzzle pieces, little moments, clicked into place. Don't be afraid, he said softly. Afraid of what? Of being yourself. Derek, I said, trying to make sense of the whirling day, please start making sense. I can show you, he said. Remember the first day we met? I thought back. The quick cleanup of his room, the careful attention, the way he tried to make space for me. Something warm unfurled in my chest. Derek, I whispered as he leaned in. He hesitated, searching my eyes. I've wanted to do this since the day you arrived. Then he kissed me, gentle, steady, brief. No fireworks, just a quiet spark that felt even better. His palm cupped my cheek, warm and sure, and my whole body relaxed into the moment. When we parted, I was breathless in the best way, like stepping into sunlight after days of rain. My first real kiss. Unexpected. Perfect. And for once, I didn't try to overthink it. I just let myself smile. Thanks for listening to today's BL story. If it made your heart skip a beat, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Only here on BL Stories, where love knows no limits.